tree planting and maintenance is so important to us here at Oklahoma Gardening, we want to share with you yet another very successful tree planting program. And this time we're down in the city of Ada, and joining us is the Parks Director, Mr. Randy McFarlin. Randy, welcome to Oklahoma Gardening.
Glad to have you here, Steve.
Now, Ada is really probably very unique in the setting that they really emphasize green in your city plantings and projects. And Randy, tell us a little bit about what you do as a Parks Board and maybe the connections to that as far as a tree board too. There's a little bit difference there, isn't there?
Yes, two separate boards. They're both advisory boards to the city, and the Park Board's been in existence since about 1965.
Okay.
The tree board is relatively new. It was started in 1980.
Okay. Now you actually started what, in 1978?
Yes.
And there's really a lot of emphasis. As a matter of fact, you're a trained horticulturist.
Yeah, went to OSU, graduated in '77, and I've been here ever since as the Parks Director.
Well, what are some of the projects that you've done to really put the emphasis on the greening of the community? I know you've told me a little bit about what a tree inventory as a start and some of those type things.
When we started the tree board in 1980, we did a tree inventory, citywide tree inventory, and used those figures to see what species of trees we needed to plant.
Because what, I guess diversity is important, right?
Yes, we had an awful lot of, just like everybody else had Dutch elm problems and had a lot of mature trees. We can track a lot of our trees back about 60 years ago.
Okay.
And they were all declining.
Well, what about, obviously with this much emphasis, surely Ada doesn't have just all kinds of money to go around to do these kinds of things.
No, I've been real fortunate in that ever since I've been with the city, they've been committed to tree plantings.
Okay.
And ever since '79, the city actually has spent money on landscaping in city parks and around public buildings.
And those are ongoing projects?
Those are ongoing. They've gone every year, yes.
Now you've gotten some special grant money too to develop some projects. Tell me a little bit about some of the types of grants and particularly some of the projects downtown that you've showed us.
Well, we've done the Urban Forestry grant program the last 2 years and taken some blighted areas in our downtown, and we've done 2 urban forestry projects. The first one was basically renovation of some what we call a burned out lot and some blighted railroad areas and transformed them into some city parks.
Now that was quite a task, as I could see. I mean, talk about harsh environments, the heat, the wind. What did you do to make them? You've even got some before and after pictures to share with us. What did you actually do on those projects?
Well, we started out with basically a burned out building. Tore the building down and removed all of the rubble and hauled soil back in.
Okay.
And brought everything to the site.
Okay. Now, you were very careful in selection of plant material. Name off some of the things that you're using in there that withstands that kind of a harsh environment.
Well, I use an awful lot of Chinese pistache. I find that's very tough, very drought tolerant. Use capital pear because of the size. Used slash pine, some of the different nandinas as shrubs, and English oak.
And then you're very conscientious as far as mulching and irrigation and maintenance. How important have these projects been to the success of downtown projects?
Well, a part of the Urban Forestry grant program is you have to commit to 3 years maintenance. And luckily we had already been doing that.
Right.
We've always gone through a 3-year establishment procedure with all our trees, so we really didn't have to vary from that. But it's so important. A project just will not succeed without maintenance.
Okay. And a lot of times we don't put enough emphasis on maintenance and more so on planting, and you're doing both. Now, has it really improved downtown or the Main Street? I mean, what kind of improvements have you seen as far as the actual
We've been a Main Street city for the past 6 years, and when we started with the Main Street program, half of our buildings were vacant downtown. We've probably got 3 vacant buildings right now. Our sidewalks have been redone, our building facades have been redone, We have 3 new city parks in the downtown area, and it's a positive environment instead of a dying small town downtown.
Right, you're softening the harshness with the green plantings, and I tell you, Randy, the enthusiasm is really rubbing off. I mean, you can just see it in the parks, the plantings. I just was looking in some of your newspaper stands and things too about the activities that you have coming up with Earth Day and your involvement with arbor plantings. I mean, it's really catching on with the community. It's very impressive. Is there anything that you would say as far as encouragement or one last word of wisdom as far as the success that you've seen, if other communities wanted to try something like this?
You just have to try it. You have to be committed to see it through and not just plant and leave it. But every small town can do what we've done with the different grant programs and community involvement and civic clubs. It's possible for every size city.
And I know in talking with you, education is very important too, isn't it, as far as plant material? And
We've been looked to the past 10 or 12 years as to what varieties to plant. We've tried out some tree species that nobody had planted around here, and basically we've been the guinea pigs.
Right. Well, now you're sharing your hard work with others, and we appreciate you inviting us down. It really is a great project to come and see, and I'm sure you'd be glad to answer any questions if people were interested in the type. So
we appreciate
thanks
you
again.
coming.
Okay.